Hey everyone, welcome back to the Art to Life podcast. I'm down in about the 5th day of teaching a retreat in Playa del Carmen. It's been amazing. I'm in one of the tents right now. It's pretty warm and it's been so great. And what comes up a lot at retreats, especially in the middle of them and towards the end of them, are some questions, 3 in particular. And they've already started to come up, and they're really some of the most important questions that people ask. So I thought I would just take this time to share them with you and answer them, because they're game changers, right? These are the bigger questions around our art practice and making our art and doing it in a way that fits with our life and actually pulling it off. And they've already started to come up for this particular group. It always happens. So let's start with the first one. How do I find a path to my authentic art? When people come to a retreat, this is one of the things that they question, whether they have the ability to. They haven't yet found it. They feel that their work is not unique, that there's no style, and they're kind of lost in it. It only takes a day or two for me to convince them that they haven't lost anything. They just don't have a lot of evidence of it. Your style is just your authenticity. And when you make art, and how you're taught to do it and how you approach it determines how personal the expression can become. And when it's personal and feels like you and you love it, then the style starts to emerge. The style is just another word for you. But really, it's a bit of a deeper question around the pathway to this. So this is a life project. But how do we do this? How do we go there? And I've also so I sort of approach this whole art practice with feeling. I call it the bloom practice. And the bloom practice orientates people, begins the process of art making whenever you start making art from a place of feeling, how you're feeling, what do you want to feel? What's the desired feeling? Not necessarily for your art, but we first have to connect with how we're feeling and what you want to make, what you feel like the work wants to be like. Dropping into this practice, that first step in bloom, the 5 steps, it's feel a certain way, and then open. The second step is open to those feelings even more. And sometimes those feelings are kind of confronting. Sometimes we don't necessarily want to do something different because we're good at a certain thing. And this is where opening to what really feels like what you want to do is so important. And in retreats, we had a woman in the Morocco retreat was like, I don't feel anything. I don't know what you're talking about. I just make art. I don't even know what to feel. And I will be talking about this a little bit around intention setting, but this is a practice. This is a practice of connecting with yourself. It's not something you can think your way out of. It's something you have to feel your way out of. It comes from within you. And if you always start your 20-minute art practice, your 40-minute art practice, your 6-hour art practice from a place of feeling to begin with, you start at the same place again. It's always coming back to you. Feeling this, start with the feeling. And then what occurs is you start to have some work that you've made, and you have to notice what you're making, right? Notice what you're noticing. This starts to give clues as to how to go about making your future art. It's not always possible, and most of the time it's not, to see clearly where you're going with your art. And that's just garden variety normal. And if you did, it was probably somebody else's art that you can see. So if you can't see it, know that that's normal. But if we can't really see it, how do we choose which road to take? What is the pathway? And the pathway, the road sign for the pathway is feeling, how you are feeling. we make art, we throw it over our shoulder, and it starts to pile up behind us. And each day we make something, every other day, every other week, and there's things behind us. And we can peer into that work, and we can look for things that we feel connected to, that we like more, even parts of our work. The clues, the breadcrumbs of where our future art is in the past work we've made. It's in the experiences we've had in making the art. When was it that you made art in the last year that it felt really good? When did you feel really good? When in your life did things feel really great? What were you doing? What did that feel like? What are the feelings you're craving, right? Do you want more spaciousness in your life? Do you want to feel like you've got more going on? Do you want to feel like pressure of a big goal? It's different for everyone. But you've got to connect with this feeling first and foremost, and then notice what's aligned with it. And it's those clues that move you towards, and moving towards is such a great way to describe it. You're not going to get there. You're just moving towards it. You're just choosing, using discernment to to move the needle closer to the direction you want to go. And that path, that's the beginning of the path. It becomes more evident as you go, and it certainly becomes more evident when you look back. The more you have behind you, the more you can discern about where you're going. What has energy for you? This is such a good question. Is it the places you've been? Is it the colors that you love? Is it what kind of things do you do that make you the most happy, that give you the most energy? What kind of art do you look at that you love? All of this has clues for your own direction. So it's tricky because we can't really there is no path that somebody can point at that is going to be yours. I work with hundreds, thousands of people, and I can never tell them this is your direction. All I can do is look at what they've made and ask, I love this part. Do you? Do you love this? When did you feel like I looked at you from across the room, and this happened this morning, and you just seemed like more than any other day at this retreat, you just seemed like you're in a groove, and I could just feel your energy. There's more energy here today. What were you doing? What is going on here? It's those kinds of questions. It's that kind of attention to your being that will give you the guideposts to the direction. How do I find a path to my authentic art? You become it, you create it, you pay attention, and over time, it becomes more and more clear. When I started teaching retreats, and I'm at a retreat right now, and there's 50 people here, and it's kind of a big deal. You know, we've got music, we're doing these conversations at night, and we got microphones, and it's impacting a lot of people. It's really powerful. It's so cool. I mean, there's so many breakthroughs happening. And when I started this, you know, when I was 20 years old, doing these little retreats, the thing that really got me doing these retreats was I just love hot springs so much. That's what got me into teaching. I wanted to teach. I wanted to go to Esalen, which is a beautiful little small boutique center located on the Big Sur coast in California. And it has thermal hot springs there. And I could never afford to go there. They open the doors like at midnight, one night a week, and you go for a couple hours, but I always wanted to go there. And I heard from a friend of mine who was teaching Tai Chi. He said, listen, you can come here. They'll let you come for free if you teach a class, and you can even get paid a little, but you need to have at least 6 students. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. So I wrote down the principles of art making that I use. This is actually the only thing I really know about. It's the only thing I felt I could teach anybody. It's the only thing I've ever done is art. So it made sense to me that I was going to choose art. And I cobbled together this program, and all the retreats there, all the workshops are about, I think they're about 7 days, 5 days. And I figured out each day, and I submitted this thing, and they said, yes, come and do it. So, and the hot springs were amazing, but I love water, and I love the Pacific Ocean. And I love just the wildness of the Big Sur coastline and these hot springs. And I loved, quite surprised, I was more surprised than anyone, that this class that I created, this piece of information, the sequencing of the information actually worked. And I'm basically still doing this now 30, 40 years later, but it all started because I chose something in my life that gave me energy, that gave me juice, and it was water. That's why I'm doing this podcast. I'm staring at you. On the other side of this camera is water. And I'm in a place, I'm still in those places. Why? Because they're part of my path. They're conditions I need. They inspire me. There's always water involved in wherever I'm going. So what has energy for you? This has more impact on answering that question. You can customize this path so there's what you love is included in it. The second question that is somewhat related, how do I make and set intentions for my future art? Right? So this is the planning mind, right? And you've got to understand that the folks here who are at this retreat, they are massively having breakthroughs, and they're understanding that, wait a second, how is it that I've been stuck for 2 years, but I come to this place and in 3 days, everything's changing and I'm doing it and I'm making my art. I don't want to lose this, right? My intention is to keep going, but I'm not sure I know how to do that. I don't know how to make a commitment for my future art. It works at a 7-day retreat like this, like amazing, but all this is going to go away and people are going to return home. So really what people are asking, how do I keep going? So, and intention's a big word, and it is kind of scary. I don't really like, so my answer is and this is what I was sharing last night, I don't really like set intentions. I don't really like that. It just seems too much pressure. But what I do is try to make an agreement with myself that I'm going to do some hard things. I'm going to do some things this year in the areas that I want to grow, that are going to be a little harder because they're new, and I'm going to do them. Not giant things, but something that I feel I can manage. I can bite off a certain amount and pull it off. So an intention is just as a commitment to do something that's a little harder. And so that's the commitment, and to come up with ways to identify with this intention. Maybe it's painting more bold. You look for things that support that. Maybe it's quotes. Maybe it's a piece of art you've made that reminds you of how you want to be. What past work feels congruent with this intention? And you want to keep those around. You want to write these things down. While we're here in this group, I'm posting a lot of things, in our app, so people have these notes. And I'm constantly saying, listen, lots of things are being said at this retreat. I'm saying things, the coaches are saying things, but especially the other artists who are here. And if something lands for you, if something's powerful for you, write it down, because this is going to contribute to your intention. We did this exercise the other day, and a woman who is here, and she's got some disabilities, like she's got a kind of walker thing that she's using, right? And I'm not sure if it's temporary or whatever, but she's not able to just like run around like everybody else. And she gets help to come down. She walks across the sand, and she's got this spot, and she's crushing it in the art, by the way. And we're doing this exercise where we were standing up and we were making art and we were moving, and there was this amazing music. And I heard her say, "I can't walk, but I can dance." And I mean, that to me, that was written down, you know. That's part of my intention for what I want to give people, what I want to offer people at these retreats. Do you see how important that was? And I'm sharing it with you now because I wrote it down. And she just said it. She wasn't trying to be poetic, you know, but it was so good. It's about possibility, right? These retreats, and my intention for them are to open people's eyes about possibility for themselves and their art. So I gather these things, right? I write things on my studio wall, right? So I just had a show recently, and I thought long and hard about what is the intention for this show? What do I want this to feel like, this work? And I wanted the work, I noticed that the best work I made, and they're usually the small things, and they're usually things I make at retreats, by the way, the more carefree work, the work where I'm not in a rush, the work where I feel I'm with friends and we're laughing, and they're almost celebratory. They're made when I feel really sustained, when I feel supported, when I feel the best version of myself, when I'm in fact flourishing, right? There's different times in our life when things are hard or not. But what if I could make art from that place? What if this art for this show, all 18 paintings, could be about that? Wouldn't that feel amazing? Instead of struggling for 2 months with the big pressure, what if the work could just feel so easy? And I loved it. And that was my intention. And the word flourish came up. And this was a word, and this is a tip, right? You know, write these words down and keep looking at them. I wrote that on my wall in my studio, that word, and I kept thinking about it constantly while I was making the work. I would look at my work and I would say, does that feel like I'm free? And I'd be like, no, that just feels kind of like my old work. It feels more mannered. I'm not even having that good of a day. And I would just stop it. And I would start making art from the place of lightness, lightheartedness. So this second question, how do I make and set intentions for my future art? We have to identify how we want to feel, how we want to be, what it wants to feel like, and surround ourselves with evidence of that. The words, the quotes, the poems, other art, other people, movies we watch, the places we go, becomes a life project. The third question, and I totally understand that, and I empathize with it. How do I keep this going once I get home? Because you can't control all the things at home. Home usually has a lot of responsibilities, other people in it. And oh my God, the retreat's ending in 4 days. The retreat's ending in 3 days. 3 days. How do we slow time down? I gotta just keep this going. Everyone's wanting to like hold on to this time, which I totally get. But here is how I talk about this to try to calm the nervous system, to try to reassure people that this retreat, this place, what we've done is all about raising the energy for people. And they don't have to do it. They just need to come. And if you guys ever come to a retreat, you'll experience this. There's a lot that goes into this. Where we go, where the studio is located, what we're teaching, the music. Oh my God, the music we're playing, it's curated. The people who are here, the coaches that are here, the extra events, We had this amazing sound healing the other day. We're here during Day of the Dead, which is such a beautiful celebration of gratitude of those who have come before you, who we were here because of all the ancestors, and opening our hearts to them, and beautiful ceremonies, being surrounded by beauty, warm air, senses, all the senses coming on board, being with each other, community, kindness, gratitude, possibility, feeling inspired, eating amazing food, right? Like, it doesn't take long before you have the conditions, and now you can start feeling a little closer to what you want, what you love. Across the board, when people arrive here, they're bringing all the worries and the concerns, and their luggage is missing, and all of that is part of, everyone's got to get here, and then everyone has to ground. Everyone's got to realize, oh my God, I am here. And then some time needs to pass. We need a good night's sleep. And then the magic starts to unfold. But really, it's around this community. So the approach that I'm talking about, and it is an approach, the approach is about creating these conditions. And at the retreat, we're doing it. Art to Life is doing it for you. But learning to understand what it is you need to feel more energized. Is it the kinds of food you need to eat? Is it the community? Is it the people you make art with? What are the things in your art that light you up? What is it? The colors? Do you want to learn new materials? What is it? We all get to decide what that is. It's different for everyone. So yes, the retreat's going to end and all these conditions are going to change. But what you've learned, what people have learned, and this is the reassurance part, is that you've learned a way of being. You've learned a practice. You've learned an approach that you bring to your life. It's an artful approach of choosing what it is you want in or you want out. And it can be gradual at first, but make no mistake, when you remove something that isn't incongruent with you, that maybe isn't that energizing for you, and you replace it, just removing it will help, and you replace it with something that's more positive, the frequency that goes up, the energy goes up, the possibilities go up. Your art gets stronger. You have more energy to explore things. You're more lighthearted. You're not in such a rush. You can be more present. We had an artist, businesswoman, who came from Africa at our Portugal retreat, and she is amazing. And we are still in conversation with the folks from retreats that we've had. So this was only a few weeks ago. And she's, oh my God, she came just really, I don't know, pretty flattened out, like not a lot of energy. And she left absolutely on fire. It was such a beautiful week. And she went home, and there was this art show she was going to have. And one thing led to another, but there was a comment by someone in her family that didn't like her work. And it was just enough for her to cancel it, for her to opt out, because that's the old version, right? Like, all the energy and all the positivity had her going, but just one thing took her out. Now she caught it, but she didn't do the show. But it's like, this just derailed me. This is what we have to be mindful of. This is what we have to pay attention to. How do we create the conditions that we need to keep going, to keep fired up, to keep the momentum going in our art and life? You take this awareness. The retreat ends. You're going to an airport, which is not the most inspiring place, but it can be. It can be if you notice what people are wearing, if you look at colors, if you notice sounds, if you look at the art in the airport, like all of it. If you're open and you meet someone on the plane, every single day, wherever you are, can be grist for the mill, can be material that you can either bring in or choose not to involve, choose not to amplify it. You begin to live in a higher state of discernment. This is the practice. This is the Bloom practice, the perennial practice of becoming yourself. Your soul and the deeper part of you, it's so interesting because people come to a retreat for many reasons. And often, and I had this experience this morning, they're very, very skilled and they've got full-blown art careers and their work's amazing. And they're almost in disbelief that they're standing here trying to do something they're not very good at. And they're literally being texted on their phone that their art's selling, that a museum wants to show their work, or there's more people coming for it. And it's maddening because it doesn't matter. Your soul doesn't care about your success or the fact that you're selling your art. All that your soul cares about, and it will never change from this, is that you are excited, that you're fired up. It wants to grow you. It wants to move you into the unknown to learn a new thing. And it might be that you need to let go entirely of abstract painting and go more into realistic art if that's what lights you up, or vice versa, or sculpture, or whatever it is, or leave the relationship, or go on a trip, or quit that soul-sucking job. Whatever the things are, your soul, as you know, and I know you know this, it's relentless. It's not swayed by the way we are, the way our brain thinks. We worry about what people are going to think about our decisions, what might happen to us, right? If we give up this as the security, the income's so great, all of that, your soul doesn't care. And it really is right. Generally speaking, your soul knows more often than not what's the best course for you, because it's got the best future self of you. It's got that in mind. That's where it's taking you. So this is the approach that we carry with us, that leads, that holds us in this state of becoming, of this state of improvement, this state of growing. And our art just continues to get better and better and better because it becomes more and more like us. You might learn this at a retreat. You might get the rhythm of this. Many people come for this, but they leave with it and then they've got it. And yes, some of the work they make, they're not going to like. They'll have a few things they love. They think they're coming to make some work they love, but what they're actually getting is a way of being, a practice that's going to grow them. It's going to make amazing art for the rest of time. That's the valuable thing. And it isn't something that you lose, right? It doesn't stop when you get home. It doesn't end when the retreat ends. It's something that you become, and your art comes along with it. You guys, thanks so much for being here. I feel like when I'm here, I'm learning so much about artists, and myself included, and I love that you're listening. I would love if you find this valuable. If you could leave a review, if you could share this, that's even better. And please, if you haven't subscribed, please do. The algorithms do a thing with podcasts where they send it out to more people if people say they like it, which makes sense. And when we have more people listening, we can impact more people. I can reach more people, and we get better guests, people that maybe wouldn't come because no one's listening. But if people know that you're listening, they'll want to come and share what they know with you. You guys, I hope you have an awesome day today. And just remember that you too are a work of art. Thanks, you guys. And I will see you next Wednesday on the Art to Life podcast. Bye from Playa del Carmen, and I will see you soon. Okay, bye everyone.